Can you all hear me? Okay. So hello, everybody. We're a couple minutes, we're typical Unity, a couple minutes late. But thank you all for coming to the annual membership meeting. So I call this meeting to order. I welcome everybody. If we could get the doors shut in the back, that would be great. Okay, so I hand off the opening prayer to Kara.
Oh, goody. You could pray too, Mark. I mean, you're a good prayer too, but I'll be happy to do a prayer.
Okay.
So we say, thank you, God. How about everybody together? Thank you, God. We thank you for this annual meeting, for all the activity that goes on in this ministry, for all of those that serve with such grace and love and devotion. And we are grateful, grateful, grateful. And we bless this journey through this annual meeting today for the highest and greatest good for this ministry and all of those that are impacted by it. And so it is. Amen. Yes. Thank you.
So let's see. So let's start with our vision statement. Our vision is a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of a shared spiritual awakening. And our mission is to inspire minds, awaken hearts, and empower lives through the teachings of Jesus Christ and other expressions of universal truth. In all that we live, we value unconditional love, connection, authenticity, inclusivity, trust, and compassion. We are living relevant spirituality now. Okay. You're back up till...
All right. Well, I'm here to introduce our staff. So I first of all want to see Ellen Rogers is over here. Wave. Everybody knows Ellen.
Yeah.
We're so grateful that Ellen is both our ministry coordinator, doing all of the things that you receive, the emails and the information that comes out. She creates all of those. She also is our music director, and so a lot of people don't realize she does many, many hats in this ministry. She's coordinated all of the information you're receiving today, so we want to just acknowledge and thank Ellen Rogers for her devotion. She's been here, she came 1 year after I came, right, and has been here this whole time with me, and I'm very grateful to have her as a part of our staff, and the longevity, but also the commitment to this ministry and to the consciousness that we're up to. So thank you, Ellen, for your work here. Yay! And we're going to send some extra love to Wendy and Remy. They are on a Hoggett family cruise. So that when they get together, it's like 22 of them that are all on a cruise together. And so they left yesterday, and so they'll be back after next weekend. And so we're just going to send them some Wendy and Remy. So you know that Wendy and Remy actually share one half-time position. All right. So you know that none of our positions here are full-time except for mine. Ellen works supposedly part-time. Two part-time. And really, and Wendy, oh, am I supposed to go to the microphone? Sorry. Oh, yeah, I need to go to the microphone. I'm forgetting I don't have mine on. And our online people. So Wendy and Remy actually share one position. Wendy is the youth director over the youth program, and Remy is the coordinator of the youth and puts together a lot of different things with her mother's guidance and things at this point. She grew up in this ministry and in our unity principles, so we are very blessed that they bring that unity consciousness to our children and our teens. And Remy also has another smart part-time position as social media administrator. So those are the roles that they give. So we're going to just give extra blessings to Remy and Wendy. Yay. And I think that's all I need to do was introduce our staff. It's up to you now, Mark.
Back to me. Our board of trustees this year has been myself. Well, if actually, it's probably easier if you all just stand. So we have Sue's reader. We have our vice president, John. Our treasurer is Mary Helen, has been Mary Helen. Bruce has been a trustee again. And of course, Kira leads our meetings every Tuesday. Okay, you next?
I'm up.
Yep.
We're going to talk about the volunteers. Yes, yes. Now, some of us call this place the clubhouse because it's fun here, but it takes a lot to make that all happen. Now, we know who the soul is, and that's Kira. And Kira, thank you so much for being that soul. But the volunteers are the life's blood of this place. Even if you've just helped move a chair at the end of something going on, you've helped volunteer here. We've got people that show up in the evenings, in the afternoons, on Saturdays. Whatever needs to be done, we get done. People love this place, and they love to make it work. And it takes the volunteers to make it work, and we love doing it. Now, we've got a lot of teams that people can volunteer on too, and that all helps this place continue going. And we need all of these too. They make this place a joy to work, and it helps keep us going. So thank you. You are the life's blood of this church, and we appreciate everything that all of our volunteers do for us.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
So, I just want to welcome Dawn Pence. Dawn is the chair of our finance committee, and she does a tremendous amount as the chair of our finance. She had gone off the board as treasurer, but now she has been helping us on so many levels, and you'll hear more about that as you hear her presentation. But just give some extra love, because wait till you see. Yeah, and hear.
Well, thank you, Kira. I was going to introduce myself, but I love that you did that. And I also want to thank Jackie Rasmussen and Mary Helen Merzbacher, our treasurer. Jackie's our bookkeeper, if you're new and you don't know Jackie. The information that we pull together is a joint effort. You know, Jackie's behind the scenes doing the books, making us aware of things that she sees that maybe, you know, she sees it before we do. And so what I'm presenting is a compilation of the efforts of all three of us who look over the finances, present that information to the board, who shares it then with y'all, like we're doing today, to make sure that we're here in transparency, that everybody knows what's going on in this ministry. I want to start with the first slide, which is something that you probably have seen. What this is this is the financial report that was in the e-bulletin. So if you saw the e-bulletin, this is the thing that comes out every single month. And you'll see that on here you have your income, your designated tithe. Designated tithes are things like living sanctuary. Our total income, and then our expenses, the mortgage expense. And on this report, the mortgage expense brings in the principal and the interest part of the mortgage. And we did have mortgage payments in the beginning half of the year because we signed with the foundation in August. And then designated tithe, again, is like living sanctuary tithes. The number in red, you'll see, and I'm sure y'all have seen this, is negative $12,000. So we were in a loss for 2025. And I call this cash income because it's not the net income off the P&L, because again, it brings in this principal part of the mortgage, but this is really the cash we need in order to pay the bills. Does that make sense? Yeah. You may be wondering, like, hey, Dawn, I thought we were doing well. We did that burn the mortgage, and we did. But remember at the time of burn the mortgage, we said, please donate on top of your regular tithes, because the burn the mortgage income could only go toward paying off the mortgage or now the foundation loan. It cannot be used for electricity or staff salaries or any of that. And so, you know, you'll see we have $47,000 of burn the mortgage income, which was amazing, and I'll be talking more about that. Yes, right? Yeah. Right. But it doesn't help with the day-to-day stuff. The biggest issue we had in 2025, honestly, was cash flow. And there were times, several times, that we had to borrow from savings in order to make payroll and to pay our bills. So let's talk about some more numbers. Let's go to the next slide. I'd like to give you all an income comparison over the last 5 years. This is starting in 2021. And you'll see it's, kind of been going down every year. But last year, I was so excited. Do you see how last year it went up? We were up about $6,000, and we really thought, okay, maybe things are shifting. Well, in 2025, income was actually $22,000 less than the prior year. And we know people have passed, we know people have moved, but the thing is, when people move, we get new people in, and we're so excited for the new people who come, right? We've had some amazing new people join our ministry. But when people come in, usually, at first, they may be givers, but they're not tithers. And what a tither is somebody who gives consistently the 10%. And what we see with consistent tithers is, and those of you who've been around the church for a long time, you probably feel this, consistent tithers become investors in the church, right? Because they've contributed for years and years and years, and they want to see it succeed, and they want to see it grow, and it's a different kind of energy than a giving energy. And we honor wherever anybody's at, but just kind of explaining that that's what happens with that shift. All right, the next slide looks at income and expenses. We have been in a net loss for the last 3 years. Last year's was just a little bit different than the prior year. This year was $1,800 more than the prior year. And you can see the green line is the expenses, the blue is the income. You can see we reduced our expenses, but it still wasn't enough to compensate for the decrease in income that we had. I am going to ask y'all to hold your questions till the end if you have any. I meant to tell you that from the beginning, just because I may answer it on another slide. I try to anticipate what you might ask. All right, so you all have a couple handouts, and we printed these out because it can be hard to read the numbers, but what we're going to be looking at is the one that has the color on it. So I thought it'll be helpful to look at a little bit more detail of the numbers behind 2025. So just to kind of a quick overview of this handout, the blue column is our actual numbers. So when we look at expenses and income for the year, the blue is what we actually received and what we actually paid out for our expenses. The pink column in the middle, that's our budget. So each year we get together, there's a team of us, and we just did this in the last week or so, and we come up with what we think our budget is going to be for this coming year. And remember, the budget is based on the prior year, because that's the best information we have, and then any additional information we may know, because it's like, oh man, I know we're gonna do, like, we did 2 garage sales last year. That was different, so, how do we adjust the budget for that? The third column, the green one, that's the amount that it's over budget. And so in the case of income, you want good black numbers, right? You want it to be over budget. In the case of expenses, it's okay to be in the red. That means you were under budget for expenses. And then the final column is just if you really like to see it in a percentage. I like to see it both ways. It makes it kind of fun. All right, so now that I've explained the report, let's go over it. Let's first look at income. The first line on the report is your bookstore income. And we had budgeted $5,000. That was very similar to what we saw in 2024. And the bookstore actually brought in about $2,000 less. They were just under $3,000 for the year. The next line is contributions income. And that's a really big number, isn't it? You can see contributions makes up almost all of the income. It was $267 out of $273,000 in income. And I'm going to go into more detail on the slide because otherwise this would be a really long report I'd be showing you. So just hold on for that one. The next columns, the designated tithe, like I said, that's very related to Living Sanctuary. I want to give a plug out to Youth and Family Group. I wish Wendy and Remy were here, and I hope they watch this because they did an awesome job. You can see that we budgeted just a little over $1,000 for Youth and Family Group, and they brought in almost $2,000, and that has to do with the amazing summer camp we had, how well Remy and her team organized it, ran it, all the volunteers who supported it. So I just want to give a shout out to them. We had a really good summer camp. So our total income for 2025 was 85% of what we thought it was going to be. All right? We're going to slip down to expenses. So total payroll expenses, that's payroll taxes. So that's all that is. Total people, that includes, of course, our staff. It includes our contractors that get paid consistently, not per each time they show up, but the consistent contractors. And it also includes workers' compensation. So that number together is pretty predictable. You can see that we're at 99% for payroll expenses and people because we kind of know what that's going to be. That doesn't change from month to month. The next line is total place. And place makes up, it's our utilities, like our electric, our Comcast, our water, it's maintenance, it's technology expenses, which includes things like our website, our database, all those software programs, also the copier, and it also includes the mortgage interest, which, like I said, we did have for the first part of the year. And so you can see with place, we came in at about 95% of what we thought the expenses were going to be. And most of that is due to us not having mortgage expense for the second half of the year. So thank you all for burning that mortgage. And yes. All right. Next category is preservation. Preservation is all of our building insurances, wind and flood and liability and whatever I'm missing. We'll talk more about that. But those are all of our building insurances. Again, pretty predictable. Those renew annually. And so that number's really close to what we budgeted. And then the final category is total program. So program is music expenses, ministry expenses, events and classes, and it's tithe expense. And you'll see that program expenses came in at 61%. And you might be like, man, you guys did a fantastic job. Yes, and. So one area, we had less speakers. Kira can take off one Sunday a month. It's in her contract. We know she doesn't always do that, right? So we had some less guest artists and guest musicians, guest speakers. The other thing is that Kira was on the board with Unity this year, and so her conference expenses were paid. And so that was something we had in the budget, but that was something we didn't actually have to pay because they covered it. But the biggest thing that affected this number being smaller is our tithe expense. And I want to share about that. The board and the finance committee, they talked about this, and this was such a hard decision to make. And I know we came to y'all during the year and we said, we've got this cash flow issue and we're trying to figure out how we can, basically pay our staff and our bills. And so one of the decisions that the board had made mid-year was to reduce the amount we tithe for 90 days. And the hope was that this is temporary, that at the end of the year we, possibly get some, more income and things would straighten out. And it didn't happen. And so we ended up keeping our tithe expense. This is our tithe that we do to Unity headquarters, worldwide, whatever they're called, our tithe to the regional, and then places that are aligned with our Unity message, right? And so that was reduced down throughout the rest of the year. And so that's had a big effect on our total program expenses. All right, so you can see for total expenses, they came in at 90% of what we expected. So you can see, just looking at the two numbers, 85% income, 90% expenses, not a surprise that we were in a loss for the year. Our net operating income loss was a $7,000 loss. Y'all, we were hoping that we would have $10,000 of positive income when we did the budget. So it was off, by about $17,000 of what we were hoping for. So let's look at the contributions income. Oops. So this one is on the back of your handout. So like I said, when we do the budget every year, we come up with the best information we had. So I showed you, what the budget was and what the actual was for each of our income categories. Before I go into income, I just want to say that we understand. We understand that people are being cautious with their discretionary income, that the cost of living has been high the last year or two, right? And we honor that, but we share this in transparency so that y'all can see where we come up with the numbers that we do and why, and just where we are at financially as a ministry. So I put these in order of largest to smallest. And the first type of income is tithe income. Tithe income, whether it's paid electronically or it's collected on Sunday or comes through the mail or through a tithing class like a prosperity class, that's our tithing income. And you can see that we had budgeted $265,000 and we received $235,000. In 2024, we had received over $250,000, and we saw like this trend kind of going up in income, remember? That didn't happen. And so we pushed it up a little bit, but we ended up being even less than we were last year. So we were about $30,000 less than what we had expected for tithe income. For events and workshops, we had budgeted $24,000, and we brought in almost $16,000. What happened with this one is we used a number that was similar to what we did 2 years ago with the $24,000. We had 2 years ago, we had two big fundraisers. We had the the Valentine's Day soiree, and we had the art auction. Remember that amazing Easter art auction? And this year we were doing something similar. We had the spring soiree with the services. What do you call that thing? The auction, silent auction, thank you. And we also had the amazing art auction. And so we had budgeted similarly, and we just didn't bring in what we did 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they each brought in about $7,000. This year, it was more like $4,000 to $5,000. So there was a big swing. The next category is the garage sale. Last year, we brought in, where am I? We brought in almost $10,000 in 2024, so we said, okay, we're going to do 2 garage sales in 2025. We did the mini one in the spring and the fall, so we made it at 11, and we ended up raising $8,700 for that. Special services, that is like a memorial service or a wedding. We did really well in this category. So, bookstore we already talked about. Universal Healing Group. In 2024, Universal Healing Group brought in over $6,000, so we budgeted something similar for 2025. And as you know, that group energetically reached its conclusion, and so we weren't able to receive the same amount of income from Universal Healing Group that we had thought we were going to receive at the beginning of the year. Classes. So classes, that might be like, wow, we budgeted $3,500 and we received $729. When I looked at the classes income, the classes, there were 2 people who taught classes in 2025. I taught one in January, and the rest were taught by Kira. And if you remember, she had a really bad concussion, and she had several classes that she had planned to teach that ended up having to be canceled because she really needed to focus on her healing more than she needed to teach a class. And so that had an effect on the class income that we received. Okay, groups, we had budgeted $1,500. Now, groups are the groups that meet weekly or monthly, like book studies and meditation group and those kind of things. We had budgeted something similar to what we received in prior years, and what came in was $557 of income. I will say that I went into the financials and looked, and since October, that's the last time I've seen any group income come in. And it even dropped. It used to be like once a week, and then in August, it dropped to once a month for like August and September and October, and then there's been nothing since then from groups. So we really do encourage the groups to contribute when they meet for the use of the church, to help offset the cost of the electricity and the things like that. We really would appreciate that. And miscellaneous, I'm not even going to talk about. So that kind of makes up the $49,000 difference that we had seen on the prior page. All right, I can get rid of that piece of paper. Okay, anybody numbered out yet? That's a lot of numbers, right? I like it, but I gave y'all a graphic for those who are kind of numbered out. So what this is I took that same income, that contributions and bookstore income, and I put it in a pie chart. And what I wanted you to see is when we talk about the contributions income, this is what we use to pay our bills, right? And most of it comes from tithes. I don't know if you can see the number, but it's 87% of our contributions income came from tithe income. Events and garage sales, they helped. They were at 6%, but the other categories were really small. So this is why when I talk to y'all and I say the importance of tithing, it's a lot easier for us to pay our bills with tithes than to arrange a garage sale as we're about to do, right? We all know, we love it, but it's a chore too. So that consistent tithing is super important, and that's why we talk about that. Because not only does it help the church, but it also keeps us living in that flow of abundance, right, that we all want. So you might be wondering, how is your board addressing all this, right? We've talked about being in this loss position, not having enough income. So on the next slide, we're going to talk about where the board has been, because they talk about this, y'all, all the time. And what they're looking at is the path to long-term abundance. This is creating sustainability. And so I'll talk briefly about some of these, and 3 of them I'll go into more detail on the next slide. The first one you already heard about, you know about, is the interest-free foundation loan, right? And I'm going to give you an update on that in one of the upcoming slides. The burn the mortgage, I'm sorry, mine are opposite. Okay, let's go back. Interest-free foundation loan, burn the mortgage campaign. That was to help us remove our mortgage, and I'll talk about that. The third thing on the slide is the Learning House of League City. It's a private school, and Mary Helen's going to be coming up, and she's going to be sharing an update on that. But I can let you all know the private school, we did sign a memo of understanding with them on February 1st, and so we're really excited about that, and like I said, Mary Helen will give you more information. The next thing on here that helps us create sustainability is legacy giving. So what legacy giving is when you die, because we're all mortal, if you choose, you can put it in your will to leave a gift to the church, and it could be cash, it could be property, anything that's on your heart. And then what happens is with legacy giving, it allows us to set up investments and use the earnings from the investments for our day-to-day expenses. So that's really cool. And churches who do well with sustainability long-term have really good legacy programs. We know that several of our congregants have felt this on their heart to do this and already put this into place, and we really appreciate that. But I just wanted to share that's something that we'll be talking more about. The next one, okay, does anybody know what a QCD is for an IRA? You do, all right. Okay, so this is really focused if you're at least 70 and a half, if you're of that lucky age where you're at least 70 and a half, right? But if you're not, if you're not there yet, you can just listen and make a mental note because this is really cool. QCD stands for a qualified charitable distribution. And what it is if you have an IRA, and you're taking distributions out of it, you can set it up to make a tax-free contribution to a nonprofit. You need to do this through your financial organization because you need to do it the right way so it doesn't get taxed. But when you do this, it comes straight from the investment to the nonprofit, which can be the church. Now, if you say, well, wait a minute, Dawn, I don't have an IRA, I have a 401k. Well, that works too. Your financial institution will roll the 401k into the IRA, and it can come to the church. And we've had several congregants who've done this also. And it's a really cool way to make a contribution because maybe you don't have the flow in your month to month, but you're able to not only save the tax because it comes straight to the church without the tax, but also it may be a way to free up a donation that you wouldn't be able to do in your month to month. So not giving any tax advice, talk to your financial people, but just making you aware of it. All right. And then reduce expenses is the next one. We are always talking about reducing expenses, right? We want to be back in alignment with our 10% tithe. That is definitely the top of the list for 2026. And I'll be talking about one of the ways that the board has looked at that. And then finally, rebuilding savings reserve. All of these things that we talk about allow us to rebuild savings. One of the things to remind you all of, or to make you aware if you haven't heard, is we no longer have a savings reserve, right? We have used it throughout 2020 to bridge the gap between the income that was coming in and the bills that needed to be paid. We were close to zero for some of the months this year. And so one of the things to note is we cannot continue to operate at a loss. We have no cushion anymore. So it's really important for us to rebuild savings. All right, so on the next slide, I'm going to talk to you about one of the things I just mentioned, and I want to give you a Burn the Mortgage update. I think y'all have seen some of this, so I'll go over it quickly. We pledged our congregation over $59,000. Yes. And received over $47,000. And I say and growing because some of the pledges were, I'm pledging into 2026. So this wasn't a one and done. This is a continuation of this campaign. But what this did is over $30,000 of it we took and applied toward our mortgage with Hometown Bank, which reduced it down to a place where we were able to get an interest-free foundation loan for $144,000. That made the payments manageable because, y'all, they weren't going to let us pay it over 30 years, like the bank, right? So we were paying it off in 7 years. We took those two amounts, gave it to Hometown Bank, and paid off our mortgage. Yeah, y'all did that. And then the extra $14,300 that we had at that time, Jackie prepaid 11 months forward because, again, it's interest-free payments. They're all prepaid for our monthly loan payments, so we are paid out through August of 2026. Yay. This is amazing. It gives us the freedom to make the best choices for our church. So thank you all for burning the mortgage. Yes. All right, so let's talk about that foundation loan. This used to be called the mortgage update, but it's not that anymore. We don't have a mortgage. So at the beginning of the year, our mortgage balance was just under $179,000. We did make payments for the first half of the year, so we paid in another $4,500 of principal, and then that $30,000 that I talked about from the burn the mortgage proceeds, that came in. And then we also made foundation loan payments for 2025 for October, November, December. So on the books, at the end of December, we went from $179,000 to $140,000 of our loan balance. Yeah. Remember, I said we prepaid out 11 months. So knowing that the cash is already out, our loan balance right now is $129,700. Yeah. What y'all did is we paid off over a quarter of the building loan, whatever you want to call it, mortgage, foundation loan, the building loan. In 1 year, we paid down over a quarter of it. That's with almost $50,000 in 1 year. And to give you an idea, in the prior year, when we did the whole mortgage thing where you're making the payments, we paid it down $7,800. Wow. What a difference, right? The thing to remember with this is 100% of the payments that we're making now go toward principal. There's no more interest expense. And if you remember when we were talking about this, when it was happening, I shared with y'all that if we would have played out the mortgage with the payments the way we're set up, it would have cost us over $200,000 in interest. Yeah. So what y'all did was amazing. Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. So the third slide I wanted to share with you about creating long-term abundance and sustainability. Oh, yeah, sorry, I did fireworks. I like fire, yeah. Yeah, so then the next slide. This is looking at reducing our expenses. So what I did y'all know this is called a funnel chart? It's kind of fun, isn't it? It's a funnel chart. Yeah. This is what I felt led to make today. I was like, not another pie chart. We're going to do something fun. So as I was putting our expense together by category, because I give this to y'all each year, I thought, you know what would be really even more fun is we did a lot of studying of the 12 powers this year. Remember, Kira did her talks, we did the spirit groups, we read the book. So what power did I feel was connected to each of these expense categories? So I made this funnel chart, and at the bottom you see is a category of people, and I put it in pink because pink is the power of love. Yeah. So, the people they're the heart of the church. This is our connection, right? This is love. And it's our staff and it's our contractors. But honestly, to me, this is also our volunteers, because if we didn't have y'all as volunteers, we would need to hire somebody to do all the things that y'all are doing. And really, that's kind of like an avoided expense, right? So I think everybody, all the people make up this category. And so you'll see that made up 56% of our expenses for 2025. Which is very typical of a nonprofit. Nonprofits are usually 50 to 60%. The next category is green for 2025, and that is place. And I picked green because I thought of order, right, with place, because order gives us organization, it gives us balance, it gives us structure. So when I think about our place, this is where the space to gather and to be comfortable while we're gathering, right? So we're not like sitting here sweating while we're doing it or freezing. And that came in at 17% of all of our expenses. The next category is program, and I thought of the power of wisdom. Because program, this is our music ministry, our classes, our workshops. It's also our tithe expense. This is how we share Spirit's message. So to me, this is where the wisdom gets shared. Whether you hear it through music or we're supporting another church, who's sharing the unity message, or another organization, that's wisdom to me. And that came in at 14%. And then the top category, I put in dark blue, which is the power of faith. And that's preservation. So that's the protection of everything underneath it, right? The protection of this people in this place and the message that we share. And that came in at 12%. So I was looking at that, and it's like, okay, that's really cool. But what if? I like to go into the what ifs, right? What if it looked more like this? I'm looking at that one. Y'all are looking at this one. What if we realigned with our tithing, which, as you know, is deeply on the hearts of the board, Reverend Kira, and I'm sure this whole organization, and we stepped in faith with protection? Well, if we did that, this is what it would look like. We would still have a large base of people, because that is the foundation of our ministry. They're going to be sharing Spirit's message. So now program moves into the second category. So our second largest expense is going to be sharing Spirit's message. Place then comes up on top of that in a space that allows us to do that in comfort. And then the preservation becomes smaller, because that's where we walk in the faith that we're divinely protected. What do you think of that? Yeah. It does look like a cake. So let's talk about that top category, that preservation. Can you do the next slide? Oh, that is the slide. Sorry, guys. So, as I said, the preservation makes up our building insurances, and we have 5. We have a wind hail policy, we have a building policy, liability and contents, flood, and then an umbrella, which is additional liability coverage. And so all 5 of those together, the premiums are almost $31,000 a year right now. John Martinez and I did a deep dive into the insurance this year, because one of the concerns was we weren't sure if we were going to get renewed for some of our policies. Our insurance provider, which is Church Mutual, who's one of the largest church insurance companies in the country, they are not doing any new policies in Texas, and they actually canceled over 1,000 policies this year. So we weren't sure if we were even going to have an option. And so we started looking into it, and that 2-inch stack of paper with the renewal policy came in, and we went through, and many, many phone calls and emails. And in doing so, we were able to save $3,600 over what it would have cost if we would have renewed what we had last year. We also got our deductible on one of our policies, the big one, from 5% down to 2%, which is huge. And we got better coverage, because 2 of our policies, we couldn't even get coverage on the Fillmore building. We only had coverage on the church building. So we did all this, and we saved money. But like I said, we also had this concern about, can we get insurance? And there have been churches who've had to close because they were required to have mortgage insurance. Insurance because they had a mortgage, I should say, and they couldn't afford it. Well, we don't have a mortgage, right? And so we don't have to do that. Let's look at this wind hail policy. You can see that's $20,000 out of the 31. So that's like 2/3 of what we pay. Let's look at that wind and hail. Yeah, you guys don't have a handout yet. All right, so the wind and hail policy, the annual premium on that is almost $20,000. And then there's that 2% deductible, which is a whole lot better than it used to be, right? It used to be 5, it's down to 2. But if we were to have a large loss event, we would still have a deductible on the Fillmore building and its contents, the church building, and the church contents, and all 4 of those deductibles together are almost $26,000. Now, what's a loss event? Well, a total loss event, because again, we're talking wind and hail insurance, a total loss event most likely would be a tornado. Well, we are on the south side. I know we had some warnings last week, but typically the tornadoes are more on the north side, and they're very isolated. It's not like a hurricane where it just wipes out a huge area. The most likely wind and hail claim that we have is a roof damage. Anybody here ever replaced their roof because they had hail damage? Yeah, it's pretty common around here. So we looked at what would be the estimated cost to replace the roof. Well, we just did this a few months ago, and the church roof would cost about $40,000 to replace. If we also had to do the Fillmore building, that's another $6,000, and it would be a little bit more if we did the covering on the breezeway too. But if you look at those numbers, and then you add in the deductibles plus the annual premium, our out-of-pocket before we would receive any benefit from the insurance company is over $45,000. Yeah. That's kind of where we were at. And the other thing to know is you might be like, well, can you cover it for less? No. It's this thing called co-insurance. John and I learned all about that. TWIA, we have our policies with TWIA that allowed us to cover both buildings and reduce our deductible. They have a calculator, as do other insurance companies, for the coverage amount, and there's a penalty if you're underinsured. So if you say, our building's worth $1 million, but I only want to cover it for $500,000, and we have an event, they're going to be like, you are not covered fully, and they're going to decrease the amount you claim after, again, you meet your deductibles. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so, in looking all that and seeing where we aspire to be and rebuilding our savings, right, and resurrecting our full tithe, the board has made a recommendation to drop the wind and hail insurance. But we want you all to vote on that, and we'll be doing that in a minute. But before we do, I wanted to give you a little bit of more information so that you'll understand, all that we saw behind it. Not me, the board and me. Okay, so the first thing is, of course, that it saves us around $20,000 a year in premium expenses. That's easy. We saw that. The second thing to know is the foundation loan is our only debt, and they do not require us to carry building insurance. They could have, but they don't. Next is we have over $1 million in equity to borrow on if we need it. So we have a fantastic relationship with Hometown Bank, and when I was over there talking to Jim Goebel, he's just like, Dawn, if anything ever happened, no, we're there for you. They were there for us before. We hope we don't have to reach out, but we have that option. Next is, historically, when we have had a loss event, we have recovered through donations from other churches, right? Donations from congregants. Assistance programs can help, and sweat equity. Yeah, you guys know that, right? Get out those shovels and those brooms and all that stuff. But that's what we've done. And just note with the assistance programs, if you're carrying insurance, you are not going to be their first priority. You may not even be an option. So we have a greater chance of getting some help from an assistance program if we're not insured than if we are. Because they're going to be like, wait for your insurance company to give it to you. The next thought is, we have never received insurance funds from a wind and hail claim. We've been in this building 20 years, never. So we tried during Harvey, it either didn't meet the deductible or it didn't qualify. We had when Mary Helen was saying, even like many years, we haven't had many claims at all. But the few we have had, we've never gotten any proceeds from. And then the final thing I wanted to share with y'all is that if we do drop the coverage this year, we can get coverage again. John and I reached out to Joe Cook, our insurance people, and because it's a TWIA policy, we could go back into wind and hail coverage. We could not have done that if we would have stayed with the private policy we had with Church Mutual. That was going to be like if you dropped it, you would never get it again. They were very clear about that. But that's not an option with TWIA. So this next slide I want to show you. And so you have two budgets, a handout. You have a budget A and you have a budget B. And what I did, I kind of hesitated to share this because I didn't want it to feel like I was leaning one way or the other with this vote, but what I really wanted was for you to have all the information with your decision and how it plays out. Depending on how the vote comes out today, we had to do two budgets, right? One with wind and one without, because it's a $20,000 difference, and that's significant in our budget. And so what I did is I made this slide, and I wanted to show you the proposed budgets with and without wind. And so with the wind, the difference you'll see is about $13,000 between the with the wind and without. So let's go down the with the wind one. With the wind, if we keep it, it's a pretty tight budget, right? It's a bare bones budget of about $314. If we take the wind out, we were able to have net operating income in our budget of a little over $13,000. When we did the two budgets, we had to find another $6,500 in expenses to reduce just to get to that $314. Yeah. And so as I said, leaving the wind in, it gives us a bare bones budget, which isn't really aligned with our goal of rebuilding savings. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. I want everybody to vote wherever their heart is on it. But I didn't want anybody to be surprised and go, well, wait a minute, I was thinking we want to keep it, but I had no idea, how it was going to affect the budget. So that is my presentation before we go to vote. Does anybody have any questions on any of this? Jean? Yes? I don't know. It's a one-time thing. So if you do the qualified charitable, yeah, I would think, I don't know, honestly, I don't know. I would guess it would then go to whatever your will sets up. So I would think it would revert to your will at that point, but that's a really good. Yeah, then you shift, from QCD to legacy giving. Yeah, I'm not an estate attorney. Tor.
So I have a question that, when you said the equity loan, that you have the ability to take an equity loan out for $1 million. Something I learned when I moved here a couple years ago, because I don't have a mortgage, I bought my house cash out, is that in Texas, I don't know if it applies to businesses or not, or nonprofits, but in Texas, if you do not have a mortgage, you cannot get an equity loan or an HELOC.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's something you guys need to.
Yeah, it's something that we can talk about. And like I said, I hope that's never. So she was saying that for individuals, she doesn't know about businesses, but for individuals, you couldn't get an equity loan without having a mortgage. I don't know if that's true or not for businesses, so that would be something we'd have to get more information on. And it might be a different kind of loan, instead of an equity loan.
Yeah. It doesn't wind up being an equity loan, it winds up being a mortgage.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're gonna use your house as collateral,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't already have a mortgage,
It becomes the mortgage.
it becomes a mortgage.
Right.
And there are also different kinds of mortgages, such as reverse mortgages and things like that are ways to get equity out of your home without actually having to spend money.
Yeah, and that's talking about a home. This is a church, so that's different.
You do a reverse mortgage on any building.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. Yes, Helen.
Land.
Helen.
This is a really dumb question. Release means that we're not gonna do it, right?
Yes, on the vote, release means we are no longer going to carry wind and hail insurance.
In other words, release means cancel.
Cancel, yes. Yes, Carolyn.
Yes, just a couple of things. When I was spiritual leader at the Webster Church, we tried to get insurance at Church Mutual. We were a church in a box, and we had very few assets, and we really needed liability for our board of directors. And they basically would not do business with us. So the only thing here is, don't get to a position where an insurance company is not gonna give you insurance for your employees and your
Right. And we have no intention ever, we have never talked about dropping liability coverage. That is something we're definitely keeping. We're only talking about wind and hail. So the plan right now is to keep the flood, keep the liability insurance, keep the property insurance, which is our building and our grounds. It would only be the wind and hail policy, which is $20,000 of the $31,000 we pay in premiums. TWIA's the one who we have our policy through, we got it through Joe Cook, which you can get a TWIA policy through any of your, Texas Texas Windstorm.
And so is he who's giving you your personal liability insurance?
No, TWIA's only doing our wind and hail coverage. What John and I did is we had everything through Church Mutual. Now, Church Mutual, just like Joe Cook, the other company we've been working with, they shop it. So they go out there and they see who's willing to give a policy based on our parameters. And so, like our flooding coverage last year was with Hartford. Now we switched that over, and I can't remember the name of the company, but it was one through Joe Cook, and it was a flood policy through them. It's still through the National Flood Registry, kind of thing, but they look for policies that meet your parameters and then give you quotes based on that. So TWIA is we had a private wind and hail company with Church Mutual with a slim chance of renewal. And then we've switched to a TWIA policy, which because we're in Galveston County, that's what allows us to go in and out of a TWIA policy. Yes, Domingo?
Why didn't we consider dropping the flood insurance?
The flood insurance is pretty small. It's like $2,000. Yeah, so the flood insurance is $2,000. So it is something that we could consider, but it wasn't going to make a significant difference to our budget. Carolyn, did you have another question?
Yes, I did, too. The only thing, so I was on the board for my homeowners association for 6 years, and it was a 30-year-old association, and they never built up their deductible. So we don't need to build up a deductible, but I personally, as a member, believe it's needed for a few years, put aside 5 or 10 or 15,000 a year. So you don't have to go get a second, a loan or something.
Yeah.
You can cover a roof that's a little open.
Absolutely. And this is exactly what we talked about when we're talking about rebuilding savings. Currently, we do not have savings, right? And so if we had an event and we had insurance, we wouldn't even have the deductible to pay. So right now, the expenses and the income are so tight, we're looking for some way to shift that so that we can rebuild that savings. So if we do have something, and it's a minor thing, we have that in savings. That is absolutely our goal. Thank you. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you, Dawn.
Oh, with that, I'm going to invite Mark up here, and he is going to lead the vote, and then I can go back and vote. Let me grab all my stuff here. Yep, there you go.
So does everybody have, we have two pieces of paper. One is for the candidates, and what I'm going to ask for now is that you vote either to release the wind and hail insurance or not.
So release means cancel.
Yeah, release is about canceling. Okay. Okay, and why don't we pass them down?
Just the wind. Everybody, this is just the insurance vote, not the board member vote, okay? Carolyn, would you help Ellen just count those votes? Thank you. Okay. Anybody still have a
Okay, if we're done with the voting, then Mary Helen, you're next.
coming up?
I don't know.
You need any of this stuff?
No, I've passed mine in. Okay.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I want to thank Dawn Pence for what she's done for us. I agreed to be treasurer because I knew Dawn was going to be there. I'm serious. After so many years of doing this sort of thing, and I have a degree in accounting and stuff like that, but kids, I've had like 3-4 surgeries in the last couple of years, and I just don't have the mental to come back like this. Okay, I mean, it's getting there, but what she does and the tools she has to help us work through these problems are just so great. And thank you, Dawn. Really. Well, we got a really good opportunity this year with a group that's just starting out. In a way, they're just starting out. In a way, they've got lots of experience, called the Learning House of League City. Now, the Learning House of League City found out about us through the founder of the Learning House of League City, who is a teacher, been with CCISD for almost 20 years, and her mother attended church here. And you all, some of you all may know Caprice Dodson. How many of y'all know Caprice? Yeah. She was our friend. She came and worked the garden tenders, and she's quite a wonderful lady. Well, she has a daughter named Cameron, who is also a doctorate in education. She's been a general education teacher, a special education teacher, and behavior coach, and a leader at Clear Creek Independent School District for quite a few years here, almost 20 years. She's always had the belief that children deserve more than the one-size-fits-all concept that they have in classrooms in public education. She's got I love this, a sweet, golf-loving little boy named John. Hey, keep hitting him, John. That's a good scholarship material right there. She earned her Bachelor's of Science education from, how do you say it, Washita? Wachita. It's an Indian, Wachita Baptist University, followed by 2 Master of Education degrees in teacher leadership and school administration from Lamar University. She later completed her PhD in educational administration from Northwest Nazarene University and continues to serve as a dissertation committee member for her alma mater. Each step in her academic journey deepened her commitment to building a school that nurtures the whole child.
What a concept.
Academically, emotionally, and practically. When she's not dreaming up meaningful learning experiences, you can find her spending time with her family. She's here today. She's jamming out to 80s music in her garage. Good going. And working to perfect her barbecue skills. Well, there's so much good stuff for sale. Don't really worry about it. Though she still has a long way to go with her brisket technique, she believes learning should feel alive, childhood should feel joyful, and school should feel like a place where children are truly known. And this is the kind of people we would like you to welcome into our midst, who will be using our Fillmore building. There's a lot of things, but first, before we talk about this and that, I want Cameron to stand up and just say hi to everybody. And can she come up? We have time. Come on up, Cameron. And
Hi. I'll see y'all from this angle here. No, but gosh.
Come on
thanks,
over
Mary
here.
Helen. That was amazing.
Yeah, you're great.
She's amazing. And I just
great.
let me start off by saying thank you to Kira and the board. I kind of brought them this idea on a whim and said, hey, I have this idea. And she said, get a proposal together and bring it. And so we tried to bring it, and we brought it, and we ended up with a yes. And that just thank you to all of you for this opportunity. We got to do something different in education. If you don't think there's an educational revolution happening right now, there is. It's all over. Like Mary Helen was saying, I work for CCISD. I'm a special education behavior coach at the moment. So when you think about the chairs that go flying, I'm the person that they call, which keeps me on my toes. It keeps it interesting. But we just went live Friday night with our Facebook page and rolling everything out. Oh, thank you. Okay, and so that's been exciting. I've already got inquiries coming in. We are big believers in abundance, and we hear that abundance of rain, right, that the Bible talks about coming down. And we believe it for Unity, we believe it for the Learning House, and we hear it. We know it's out there, it's coming, and we're so glad to partner with you all to live in this moment of abundance together. With that said, you would not be hearing this message if there maybe not be something inside of you that you have, a talent or a gift that you have that you can share. Please email me up there or on my website or info@Learning House of League City. Children need your gifts, and we are looking for your gifts. And if you've got something to teach, send it to me. I am looking for those life skills. That's part of what we're doing. And yes, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Isn't she great?
She's great.
Don't you just get a good feeling from this lady?
Oh, K through 2.
Yeah.
And that's intentional. We want to start with younger grades because we want to build strong readers. As our school grows, we want to keep up with the grade levels and add a grade level each year. We might get a whole slew of kindergartners, we might get a whole slew of second graders. We just don't know. But the applications we're going to start rolling out soon for informational nights that we're going to have here. And I hope we have a wait list that's 100 deep.
Thank you, Cameron. And thanks for bringing your husband as well. And I just went blank on your name. Mike. Mark. Yeah. No, well, thank you, Mike. Anyway. I was talking to this. That girl ain't no. That girl ain't right. Anyway, you may notice a few changes, some things that might affect you as a congregant here. Not very much. Do we have them up there?
You'll talk about that.
We're going to be sharing our space. Oh, first we're going to talk about this.
Yeah, share that.
Oh, yeah. Well, the school year does not start for us, until August of 2026. So we have a while to get prepared for this. Cameron is already back in the Fillmore building working. They're taking over 2 rooms right now, and we still have our garage sale stuff stored in the 3rd room there, and that'll be gone March the 14th. So we're prepared for them to be here. The school, as you can tell from just talking to Carmen, is aligned with Unity principles. Their care of seeing the whole child develop. That's my most dear thing, because we talk about that a lot. How do we take this message to children? They'll have academics, life skills, and real-world experiences. I can just see some of our art teachers in here. You got that? And it's going to be a big benefit. That's no secret. That's how much it's going to. This year, it'll benefit our budget in 2026 by over $20,000. In 2027, that'll be 30, because we'll have a whole year's. Don't let that scare you, Cameron. Anyway, the things that you'll notice that might be different around here. There's going to be more kids. There's going to be drop-offs and pickups out in the front in the mornings and afternoons. There'll be a morning rally assembly here in the sanctuary from 8 to 8:30. Lunches will be in the gathering room for 4 days a week, and that'll be, I think it's 11:30, 12:30. Is that something like that, for an hour in the day? They'll be sharing the restrooms, and they're going to expand our playground and put a better, more inclusive type playground out there. There's also going to be some new signage here on the side and maybe some in the back. There'll be the pond will be partially fenced during the week. I know those of you, that's probably your first thing. You're going to go, hey, what about that dang pond? Yeah. So we want to keep the kids safe. And we're going to be freshening up the Fillmore building, the porch, and the trim and stuff like that. But that's not going to be, there's not going to be too many changes. I think we're all used to sharing anyway. And if we're not, we'll come and learn how from Cameron. Because I know you teach that in kindergarten. anyway, we're really, really grateful and excited to have you all, to welcome you all to Unity. And can we just get a round of applause for Cameron? And that's just our way of welcoming. So that is going to help us get on a more secure financial footing, as well as some of the other things. And now that I'm nervous about the vote, do we get to hear about it?
Yeah, Mark, pick them up, give the answer.
Come on, Mark.
Good job. So, we had 100% accepting that we release wind and hail. All right, so now,
Back to Dawn.
back to
Talk
Dawn.
about the budget now.
Okay. And I'm just going to leave this here.
Thank you all. I love that it was unanimous decision. That's really cool, that, that the unity of spirit here, stepping into faith and realigning with getting our finances where we see them. So y'all got two budgets, a budget A and budget B, because like I said, I didn't know which way it was going to go. We are on budget B without wind insurance. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over that, and then we're going to vote on whether or not to accept this budget. This is the budget for 2026. You will see under offerings and tithes that we've reduced the income similar to what we received in 2025. It does include the school contributions and events and workshops. A lot of these income categories have been reduced down so that they're more in line with what we saw most recently, including garage sale income. We brought that to $8,500. Bookstore was the $3,000 that we saw this year. Special services income, again, that's memorial service. We didn't keep that as high as it was, We brought that one down. General classes contributions, even though we only received about $750, we don't expect Kira to have another concussion, right? We are holding her in the light and protection and all of that. So we see classes resuming. Youth and family ministry, tithing class. So tithing classes, like whether it's Prosperity Plus 1 or 2 or some other thing, we plan on having a tithing class this year. Youth and family ministry, we brought in an amount that's similar to what they brought in 2025. Group contributions, we're really hoping to see the contributions flowing for the group use of the facility. And then interest, we don't get a lot in interest. But you know what? If we have more money in savings, we will. So I'd like to see us blow that budget number, right? As far as the expense side of it, the payroll expenses and people will be what they were last year. With place, that number actually goes down a little because one of the really cool things that Mary Helen does, she talks about me, you should see the stuff she does behind the scenes. She called up Comcast. Did y'all ever call Comcast and try to get something changed? Talk about having to be tenacious, right? Oh my gosh. But she went and renegotiated all of our stuff with our Wi-Fi and our phones and all of that and saved so much money. So our Comcast bill has come down significantly thanks to Mary Helen. So that number's gone, yeah, that's factored in. Preservation, of course, is $20,000 less without the wind insurance. And our program, that's going to be realigned with our full tithe. So I put the full 10% tithe in there. Let's see, little bit of an increase. Kira's no longer on Unity board because the board she was on doesn't exist anymore with the realignment. And so we put her conference expenses back in. But those are the changes to what you saw from 2025. Does anybody have any questions on the budget before we go to a vote? We're looking, like I said in the comparison, we're looking for a projected net operating income of just under $14,000. If we do better than that, that would be great. Jean? Well, savings comes from that surplus of net operating income. Savings is not an income statement item, it's a balance sheet item. Yes.
So I have been on a couple boards changed over the years, and you've got this deductible, you're self-insuring, and somebody goes, oh, well, we just got this money over here, we'll spend it for this, we'll spend it for this. So my suggestion to the board, and I don't know if you can change Plan B, but under expenses, add a specific item that's either self-insurance or unity savings or disaster savings or first alert savings, so that it's just not buried in these other categories.
Right.
It's that important to me personally.
Right, and again, that wouldn't be an expense item, that would be something that would show up on the balance sheet.
That's where I define it as a expense I haven't spent yet, but I need to have it as a line item. That's my thought.
Yeah, the board will definitely take that into consideration. Yeah, what's that?
Shows
An
up
account, specific account for, emergency?
Yeah, and we have those accounts, you know, we have designated accounts, but we could definitely create a designated account for, yeah, either self-insurance or, you know, a building emergency, something like that, we could do that, yes.
because in budget B then, I personally would move 12,000 into the self-insurance, leaving a net operating income of 1389. So it's very clear that we're close, but we're close, and we have this other line item.
Okay, thank you, Carolyn.
Classic bookkeeping.
Right. Yeah, any other questions? Okay, so at this time, we're going to move to vote on accepting Budget B as our budget for 2026. And like I said, the board will take, you know, the comments into consideration. And knowing that if we do have surplus in our income, that is what goes into our save. And Mark's gonna run the vote, yes. And I'm done, y'all.
All right, so did everybody get their questions answered? Okay, so, let's see. So you'll be voting on the 2026 budget, and you have both handouts for, we're only doing the one. Okay,
So it's really accepting the budget, that's what's going on.
okay.
We accept the budget.
I seconded it.
All right, so everybody vote. Just by acclamation. All right, any opposed? No, okay, good, we're all in alignment again. So now I'm going to turn it over to our nominated committee chair.
Who was it who moved to accept?
Oh,
Amy and then Zilla seconded.
okay. So are you ready? All right.
Okay, so you don't have any notes for me on this, just wing it. Okay, so as you all know, this is also a time in our meeting that we are voting for new board members for 2026. So everybody should have a ballot, right? I'm going to get to that. I just want to make sure everybody has it before we start. Okay, all good? All right, so we've got 3 nominees. Helen Lane Rowe. Helen, you want to raise your hand there? There's Helen. And then Katie Phillips. Katie Phillips in the back there. Katie Phillips as well. And Suze will be coming back on. So you have 3 votes available and you have 3 candidates. So, yeah, so vote for your candidates. That's right. So board nominees, do they want to get up and say anything? Do you guys want to say anything?
We didn't prepare them to come and say anything.
All right. But you had bios, you had bios sent out already. So anyway, so now's the time for you to cast your votes.
I interviewed all three candidates, and pretty much they all want to cut costs and increase revenue.
That's their platform. Nope, I think that's it.
I know, right? Yeah, what posterity really.
No, that's not. Okay, Mark, next is nominating committee. You guys all got your votes in? Tim's got them, okay, they've got them right back there. Helen got them. Thank you. And- Okay, Mark, you're going to talk about nominating committee, but I want to just honor and acknowledge for just a moment Katie Ralston, who did the nominating committee this year, and thank you so much, Katie, for taking that leadership this year. So, thank you. All right, Mark.
All right, so do we have a total?
Well, no, they're still counting.
Oh, they're still counting? Okay,
Let's go on to nominating.
okay.
I just want to acknowledge Mark Grableski because he's coming off the board this year, and he's been our president for the last year. So thank you very much, Mark.
You're welcome. What did,
I was just saying Sue's coming off too.
oh, okay. Yeah, I think she's going back on from what I know. Okay, so, let's see. While they're counting, we have to appoint somebody for the nominating committee for next year. So do we have any possibilities? Anybody want to chair the? I'll do it again. You'll do it again? Yeah. Oh, okay. So you didn't get burned out, huh?
Yes, you did. Yeah, that was a real burnout position.
Okay.
I'll affirm that vote, Mark.
Huh?
Let's affirm that vote.
Okay.
Affirm that.
So all in favor?
Katie has nominated.
Any discussion? No? Okay. And,
Now an alternate.
yeah, do we have an alternate in case? Rob? Anybody else?
All in favor?
All in favor of Rob heading the nominating committee? Okay, alternate, right.
Okay,
Okay, so now
so now,
Kira's,
it's my turn.
yes, it's your
You can
turn.
just stay up here with me though, Mark.
Okay.
Okay, this is an opportunity for me to acknowledge that Mark Grableski has been on our board for 3 years, as well as then this year has been our board chair. And I want to just acknowledge, when Mark agreed to come back on the board, he was like, I'm not sure. I was on the board years ago when it was challenging. It was very contentious and challenging at the time in the past. And he's like, I'm not sure I want to go do that again. And I said, no, I promise you it will be different.
And it was.
And that it's going to be a positive experience, and that if anything, this is an opportunity to heal
Right.
those experiences of the past. And so he agreed to come on and bring his gift, and didn't anticipate stepping into the president's role.
Never works that way.
You don't anticipate it. And we are just so grateful for his leadership this year during a challenging year in his own journey, in his own health process. And yet, he's still been there and supported and committed to this board and to this community. And we know that he and Amy are those investors in this ministry that have been committed for many, many, many years long before I was here, that they have been a foundational part of building this ministry, and their DNA is in it. And I just really want to say thank you, Mark, first of all. I have ordered a gift. Now, the gift I didn't order it in time, so it's not here, but there's a picture of it in here.
A picture.
So you can, this is the picture of your gift if you want to take a look at it.
Oh,
It,
prayer for protection, okay.
It is a prayer for protection blanket, and that it has the prayer for protection on it, and it's a blanket that you can cuddle up with and think good thoughts about the board time that you spent.
Right. And also, since I do dialysis 3 times a week, when you go to those centers, they're really cold.
Yep.
So the blanket will really help.
I really thought about that, about wrapping yourself up in that during your dialysis. So thank you, God. That'll be really fun, a good gift for you. So thank
Okay.
you, Mark. We appreciate you so much. Yay. What a blessing. All right. Thank you. Yes. Mark, some extra love. And now we're going to just look briefly. We're going to go through this fairly quick, but we want to get a brief look at, we called last year a year to thrive. And even though we had some challenges financially in our journey, we have been in a thriving ministry throughout this. And I want you to hear the ways that we did thrive. Certainly we got that from Dawn sharing about what we did with the mortgage of paying over $50,000 down in 1 year, which is phenomenal. Amazing. But also there were many other activities. And so our board members are going to come up and share those with you, beginning with Bruce. Come on, Bruce.
All right. First of all, we had, on Sundays, we had many guest speakers when Kira was not here. You may remember attending some of these. Also, Reverend Kira has led us in some special programs that she taught. And also, we need to acknowledge our own Ellen and Art, and as well as Keith Vivens, Charlie Threet, Winnie Fristow, Wendy Vaughn, and Three Trees, and then our special services, which we've had each year. And now I want to pass this over to Mary Helen.
Thank you, Bruce.
It's our recruitment speech for the next volunteers. Because it's so cool that we have the groups that we have here. How many of you attend some kind of group here at Unity? Almost everybody. And that's because that's how we get so close, and that's how we get connected. Some of the special groups that we have, we want to recognize one new one this year, Amigas Unidas. It's our Spanish-speaking group. And everybody is welcome to the women. Actually, we had a man in there last time. I think they can get special dispensation, so got to know somebody. Anyway, we have a choir that started out this last year. We're still looking for new members for that. The drum circle is still going strong. We have drum circles on the solstice and equinox. The Earth Care group, garden tenders. I mean, they do so much. They do a whole lot more than just work in the yard. You know, they do a lot of the decorations in here, a lot of preparations for parties. Lindy, thank you. John, thank you. Sarah, thank you. Anyway, there's a lot. A meditation and oneness circle. The Paul Selig group actually now is studying the way of mastery on Tuesdays. The Power of Eight that meets at Pauline's house. Qigong, which is still on Zoom. Role-playing games. Tuesday meditation and stretching. That's the morning stretch yoga and the meditation that Sarah leads and has been doing that for a lot of years. How many years, Sarah? Did she leave already? We caught her. Okay. The women's ministry potluck, the men's dinner group that meets at various restaurants.
And we now have another new men's group, which is Rob's group.
The modern men's group.
Yeah. Yeah. So that one's now new too.
Nice, very good.
We've been meeting for over 8 months.
Okay.
Men, pay attention. What if a woman came? Oh, never mind.
We had a woman show up to our bowling, so.
Oh, you just never know. They're pushy broads. the Universal Healing Group, which isn't around anymore, but various members are still. And then the World Community for Christian Meditation, which meets on Zoom on Monday nights. Group events, we've had Earth Care movies, we've had speakers, Earth Care speakers, including our own Zilla Adams, telling us about her family's property in the Hill Country. World Labyrinth Day. What's that, Kira?
We also had Katie Phillips, our own Katie.
Yeah, Katie Phillips came and talked to us about her sanctuary for farm animal sanctuary, basically. The Youth and Ministry End of Year School Dance, the World Labyrinth Day, Seasons of our Anniversary Party, the Seasons of Milestones, and the Zero Limits movies. We've had a lot this year, and we have a lot to be thankful for. And I'm super grateful for each and every one of you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And this next person I'm pretty grateful for too, Suze Reeder. She takes all these notes.
Thanks, everybody. It's good to be here. So I am going to talk about the classes, and it looks like a lot of Reverend Kira. So thank you, Reverend Kira. I just wanted to say your classes are so wonderful. Dawn, didn't you teach a class as well? In January, yeah. Okay, well, thank you. Relationship wholeness. There you go. So the classes are more of a serial, like they're Lucky Charms. No, but like they are Lucky Charms, and they're maybe on a Wednesday for a couple of hours for 5 weeks in a row. So they require a deeper dive, a bigger commitment. And so we have had 5 classes this past year. And we've had a lot of more workshops. So these are the workshops we've had in 2025. They're more of the one-off, so the after church for 3 hours workshops. And they've been done by a lot of different people in the church. So they might be congregation members or even folks that come in from different places. Like I remember being at the Three Trees. That was really fun and different and exciting. So it's always exciting, and I really had a fun time with the workshops personally. The internal training, so, if you want to work in the bookshop, you have to learn how to work in the bookshop. So we've had some internal training throughout the year. Prayer chaplain training, learning how to pray affirmatively with congregation members. And I really enjoy that training every year. So those have been a quick view of those internal trainings. And finally, the service projects are how we interact with the community for good works and good projects. Orchard Park Sing-Along Sunday, I know that really has a positive effect on the folks in the Orchard Park home. And Meals on Wheels is really fun. I enjoyed doing that with our family. So looking forward to more of these in 2026. And thank you so much, everyone. And now we're going to turn to John for the fundraising projects.
Yeah, I get to do the fun part. I like that. So our youth ministry Change Sunday, I'm sure they appreciate all that, which is something that we like to do. The spring soiree, these things are always so much fun, and there's been so many of them. They kind of just all run together for me, and I'm sure it isn't because of the adult beverages that they have. The mini garage sale was really cool because it was the first time we tried something like that, and it really worked. There may have been only 10 to 12 of us there, but we had fun doing it, and we made a good amount of money on the thing, so it really worked out. The Burn the Mortgage is ongoing, and we're chipping away at that thing. That's a great effort that we've done there, and everyone should be congratulated for what they're doing. The garage sale. We got rain this last time, and it wasn't what we wanted as far as turnout and what we realized out of it, but I heard more than one person say, in fact, several people, they enjoyed it this time around a lot more than they ever have, which says a lot. It was fun. There was a fun aspect to it, and I don't know what it was, but there was something different that made it more fun. The Divine Audacity Art Auction. There was some wonderful, impressive items that came through in that auction. It gave people an opportunity to showcase some of their talents. And we appreciate that. Thank you. Giving Tuesday, I don't know much about Giving Tuesday. It's Tuesday and we're supposed to give something.
Right after the Black Friday.
Okay. Tom Kaywood's 85th birthday, that was a lot of fun too. It was great to see the turnout that he had. All his buddies that he's known for a long time and a lot of people who came to show the real appreciation for Tom. And we do appreciate Tom. He's done a lot for this ministry and we're grateful for that. Yes. Now, this is virtually all Kira. This is something that we are really, really proud of. Kira, I don't know how you do it. You might know how to bilocate or something. I have no idea. So, Interfaith Council of Clear Lake, the League City Chamber of Commerce, Faith Panel Innovations, Invocations for City Council, Prayer Service Videos for Silent Unity, Unity South Central Regional Conference, and she's on the board for, is that when you're on the board?
No, it was Unity Worldwide, which is now Unity, and I'm no longer on the board.
Okay, so there's another one. Unity Worldwide Ministries Board and Executive Committee, there we go. Connections. These are just some of the ways that we put ourselves out there to try to spread familiarity with Unity and let people know what we have to offer. And we have a lot to offer. So the e-bulletin, our Facebook page, live stream Sundays. That in and of itself, I think, is pretty amazing that we were able to do that. Our newsletter, Unity Community Facebook group, the UBH website, Unity Prayer email, Unity Prayer text, and our YouTube channel. Thank you.
Thank you. I was going to say, one of the things I wanted to say, go back to that last slide one more second, Amy. Thank you. I just wanted to say a lot of this are things that Ellen creates, and I want to thank her for that, and then a little bit what Remy creates also, but also to say one of the things that you may not hear that I get the opportunity, so many people that come into our live stream are not necessarily friends with us on Facebook or something, so we don't know they're there. But I cannot tell you, everywhere I go, people tell me about, oh, I watched you. The new people that come here say, oh, I watched you for a while before I came. So there's a lot more that happens through that. And we're still working on how do we engage. We do ask questions and things and say, hey, let us know if you're this or that. If you hear of people, I always tell them, please let us know you're on there because sometimes we don't know. But there are a lot more than we may even realize. So that's a big factor. All right, I want to thank you to all the board for all the presentations that they've done. And they're bringing this together. So thank you so much to each of the board members. And what I wanted to share is that we have decided that 2026 is the year of sacred sustainability, that we are looking about what is it to honor and sustain our sacred space and this ministry that has been built and invested in by so many over the years. So we really wanted to create something. I know it was last year was a year to thrive. This doesn't sound quite as sexy, as 2025, the year to thrive, 2026, the year of sacred sustainability, and yet it's essential. It is essential to our vision has always been, and I know personally, I want my personal legacy to be that we build this ministry back up in a place where we are sustainable, that we have the ability to move forward and have a sacred space that's ongoing throughout however long Unity Bay Area, Houston wants to exist, which we hope is forever, right? That we are ongoing. So we wanted to acknowledge that all the things that we're doing to create savings, to create this opportunity to reduce some of our expenses. And thank you for the vote. I will say thank you definitely for the vote to release the wind hail. Our board really felt strongly about that, and yet we also know it needs to be the vote of the congregation. And we do feel that that's going to be a relief off of us in, that additional $20,000 a year. So we're excited about that and being able to start to build, as you guys have all said, the savings and the emergency fund, the things that we need to be able to really, to build this ministry up. And I thank you, because there have been many people that have come to me to say, I really want to put this ministry in my will. And that has happened for several people this year, that they've already talked with their financial advisors, put us into their will. Others have come and said, I really want to make a contribution through the, the QCD, all right, so that qualified charitable donation program. And so those kind of things have been happening behind the scenes. And we really want to thank you for that, because these are the things that are going to create this longer term ability to have funds we can invest and live off of those investments to support our ongoing cash flow. But I also know each one of you, your tithes, your giving, your contributions of time, your energy, all that you've done. We sustain this building with everybody. You know, Rob, John, Larry have done so much maintenance on this building and building. John and Rob were here Monday all day putting new shelves in the room off of the gathering room, which is going to become kind of a cozy new teen area for our teens, as the other building's available if we need it on Sunday. But the kids liked their safe, cuddly space, right? That they could have. And so they put shelves in all day on Monday. So what you don't know are all the things that happen behind the scenes. Everybody that steps up over and over and over again to make this ministry work. And I just want to say, I for one am truly grateful. I know your board is also, and all of you who are a part of this. If you're here right now, you're a part of what has brought this ministry to where it is. And we are so excited for that. Oh, I think that we didn't announce the board vote, did we? I just realized I have it in my hand. How about that? Okay, we have 3 new board members. Returning, Suze Reeder. We have Katie Phillips. Yay, and we have Helen Lane Rowe. And we are grateful and looking forward to creating our new board and the energy that they will create this year and bringing us to the next generation of unity. And so thank you all. I think that is all I have to say. Any questions that we haven't covered or anything? Then I'm going to let Mark come up and call this meeting to a close. Yeah. What? Close with prayer. That's always, I do have closing prayer down here. Okay, so come on, Mark, let's pray. You can hold the space with me.
I had one thought this week. Amy and I have been coming here since the year 2000, I think, to Unity Bay Area. So, if the fact that I thought about how much we have tithed over the 20 years. So anybody who's been here for a while, that to me, that's my investment in having us say straight. So I will always be a tither to our ministry.
Yeah.
And I've just asked that y'all don't take it personally, but maybe you could think about that too. What is your number, or how much you've given over the years too? And let's keep it going.
Yeah. And in fact, I want to say something about that, because I'm really excited. One of the reasons I'm most excited about the wind hailstorm being released is we're coming back to our 10% tithe. And I can't tell you how much that blesses me to know that we're back in alignment with our unity principles. And I know our board feels as strongly about that as well, that we are coming back to our 10% tithe, because we believe it's a principle and that we really need to operate on that. And it was heartbreaking every month that we had to say, we can't do it. We can't do that. And we did a percentage that we had to go to Unity to stay in good standing as a ministry. But we are truly, all of us, just overjoyed to be able to say we're committed to that 10% tithe and living based upon principle. And that's key for us. So I want to say thank you to everybody for that as well. All right.
All right, prayer.
Prayer. Ah, what a concept. All right, we say thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you for each and every being, those here, those that are listening online, those that are represented by all the years, all the many faces, all those that this ministry is built upon, and all those that will come and that will be sharing with us going forward. We are grateful to be a part of the movement, of the spiritual movement of unity, and bringing unity into our lives, into our hearts, and out into the world. And so we say thank you, God. We are grateful, 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 and so it is. Amen and
Yeah.
yes.
All right, and I officially call this meeting to a close.
Yay! Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
And what is this? Oh, okay.